Alright, hey guys, welcome to the last part of my FMC thing. Here I'm just going to be doing two example solves. One of these is just a 28 move solution from the example solve thread on speed solving, which I'll link in the description. And the other one is a 31 move former oceanic record single, which I got at Worlds 2013. So that's going to be the one I show first, so let's get started. Alright, so here's what the first scramble looks like. This is without pre-moves at the moment, but for this solution I did use two pre-moves, and that was to solve pseudo blocks. So for this, I started out with just a normal block. I saw a pair here, and these two edges that go with it. This one's already lined up, and this one's one move away from being lined up. So I did an F2 to line that up right away, and I just solved this edge with a U2, like that. And then I lined this pair up with the edge by doing B, D prime. And then an arm move. So that was a 5 move 2x2x2. And then from here I started doing pseudo blocks. I saw a pair in the back here, which wasn't quite lined up. You need to do a B move to line it up. But I just pretended it was a block anyway, so I solved the blue-white edge which goes with it, which is up here. So I did L, I did U, B2, U prime. So at this point I added the pre-move B. So I've got this cube here, scrambled, except it's got the pre-move B, so I did the move B before doing the whole scramble. So doing the block again, F2, U2, B, D prime R. At this point we have a block, but this time it's already lined up, so you do L, U, B2, U prime. And at this point, I decided instead of doing an F12 minus 1 approach, I couldn't actually see anything too easy, so I did edge orientation. I saw that these four edges need to be flipped, so I flipped this one with this one, so I flipped these two, and then I cancelled into flipping these two. And what happens is this actually also gives me an F12 minus 1, but with a pseudo block. So the way this looks is I did that to flip these two, so I'll show that again. So bring this one up, and then flip this, and then I also flipped these two by doing that. So I'll show that again. And what that does is that gives a square here, but this is an L2 away from solved because we go back to my solving orientation. This would be an L2 away from solved. So what I did was I did the pre-move L2 and then the pre-move B. It's important to note that when you're doing pre-moves you've got to figure out the order, so if you've done B and then you need to do L2 later on, you do L2 then B. So here's the same scramble, this time for pre-moves L2B. So I'll do the block, and then that block in the back, and I'll do edge orientation. And that gives F12 minus 1. And then we just have an F12 pair here, which we just insert with 3 moves, like that. And then I just have a ZBLL case, which I know how to solve. I think it's optimal, but I'm not entirely sure. It's a very efficient algorithm that I know. Like that. And then at the end of the solution, I undid the pre-moves, and that gave me a 31 oceanic record fewest move single. So, yay for that. Alright, so this is the second example solve. This is a 28, which I got a few weeks back in the example solve thread on speed solving, link in the description. This isn't what the scramble looks like. This is the inverse scramble, because for this particular solve, I thought the normal scramble didn't look too good, so I switched, and what I ended up with was with a 5 move 2x2x2. The way I made that was I first did an L2 because I saw this corner and this edge were one move away from being a pair. And that also left my other two edges that go with it in reasonably nice spots. We got one here and one here. So I did what I did F prime to line up the edge, D to align the square, and then B to align the last edge. And then I just did an L. At this point, I didn't like the continuation, so I did the thing where you switch between normal scramble and inverse scramble. So I went from inverse, which is this, to normal. And I used the inverse of the solution I just did, which was, the inverse of that was L prime, B, D prime, F, L2. So those became my pre-moves for the normal scramble. And what that left me with was a nice continuation, because I got this floating cross edge here, which is one move away, and this pair here. So what I did was I did B, U2, B prime to pair these up. I'll show that again. It was B, U2, B prime. I did U prime, and then before doing F prime, I wanted to orient the edges because that left me with even nicer stuff later. So I saw that after the F prime I'd need to flip this and this. So I did F2, U2, F. And that solves this block and also orients all my edges. And then from here I had an easy F2 -1, which is just U2, R2. But before doing the R2, I saw that I had a few edges already in place, so I could actually cancel into solving the edges. So I did R, and then U, and then R to solve the F2 -1, and then I did a U prime, and then I just had a 5-corner cycle. And none of them were twisted in place, so that meant I was able to do it with 2 3-cycle commutators. And this is something I didn't actually mention when making the insertions video. Whenever you have 5 corners that you need to cycle, you can't have any twisted in place because then you have to do 3 corner cycles, which is a lot of moves. So if you got something like this where they're all just cycling together, then that's fine, you can use this. Well, it's not like you couldn't use the other one, but it's not as good. Because this you can just do in 2 3-cycle commutators. So I'm not going to go over the actual insertions I did. Again, there's a link in the description for more detail, so you can actually see where I did the insertions and how they cancel into the skeleton. So that's it for the whole tutorial. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.